Okay, today's review is of Life's Etching Photography out of Fort Smith, Arkansas. Okay, great. So here's Life's Etching. Design-wise, it seems a bit rustic, and this isn't necessarily a bad thing. Since you're in Arkansas, this may work well with your clientele. It really depends on your target market. If your aim is at younger people, though, the design can be freshened up a bit to reflect current trends. As far as the layout goes, from an SEO and usability point of view, I'm not a fan of having like a blog post, the blog post page, on the homepage of your website. From a user experience perspective, you're telling people that your blog posts are the most important thing to your website. Um, and that you want people to look at these primarily. But your blog post should be really, it should serve two purposes. One, to bring in additional traffic through search traffic, in the hopes that they look further into your site. And the second is to provide additional support for people interested in booking you, so they could see, additional photos and that sort of thing. Right? Your homepage really should be something that welcomes people. And since you do a variety of services, it should be generic enough that people can get a handle on the services you provide. So showing different photos in a slideshow is always a good way to do that. I'll show you an example here. I'll come back to this one as an example later as well. But this is a site that we designed, and see, this is, it's generic enough. Just slideshow, a little about, and she even has some recent posts there. So, it should be a welcoming page. And it's also a good place to connect right away. Like I said, with her about, you can, get a good, grasp on who she is. She has a little about section there. Um, so, and I always use this, I always use a site like this as an example for the reviews. You want to be able to connect right away with someone. Um, from an SEO perspective, a blog is always going to shift the keyword makeup of your homepage. If you look at each of the titles here, you got Fayetteville wedding, you got Beaver Lake maternity session. So this is a wedding wire thing for 2015, photography tips, a Christmas wedding in Tulsa. So the keywords are always shifting on this page, and that doesn't really indicate to Google what like one keyword that you want to rank for. So your rankings are going to constantly fluctuate for different keywords. Now, continuing with the SEO, I love that you got this little tagline here that says capturing your memories anywhere in western Arkansas or eastern Oklahoma. That's really great. Right away, you're telling people where you're located, where you service. But the problem with that is it's a graphic. It's not text. I can't highlight it, and Google can't read that. So you want that to be a actual text that Google can read. Now, as far as the blog page itself, if you just change this over to be a blog page, and you had a traditional home page, like with this on Teresa's site here, she can go to the blog, and that takes her to the blog page. With yours, if we look at yours as just a blog page, you got this really busy sidebar, and then you got a lot of distracting elements in here. The read more, the social media graphics. It's a lot of visual distraction as I scroll down through here. If I were a potential client, I'd have to sift through all this to see what's the most important thing for me to click on, right? So all the media, the icons are really overwhelming. The colors just really jump out at you. And in multiple sections here. I think there's one section, where you got all this going on in the sidebar. So websites are a bit like photos. Bright areas in a photo pull your attention to that bright area. Same with colors, right? So you want to use that to your advantage by figuring out the most important thing for your visitors to do, and then make that the brightest or the most colorful thing. A nicely designed colorful book me or contact button works really well on sites, in eliminating these really bright social icons. Sometimes, if we look at the sidebar, sometimes the sidebar is a good thing in a blog, sometimes not so much. In this sidebar, you have a lot of stuff, and you got to ask yourself the questions. Do people look at it? Is it useful? Does it forward you getting booked or getting inquiries? So if we look at the sidebar, this info right here is really good, but again, we can actually include that in a little about section on a traditional homepage. You can see here, she does something very similar. She indicates, where she's located and the areas that she photographs. And you got your number, plastered a lot of places, especially at the top. That's really great. Now the PPA and the Wedding Wire awards are nice to have. This info can also easily go into a little about section. You got Wedding Wire, Couples Choice 2015, right? You can actually add that in as text and add a link in there. Again, social media icons, I'm not opposed to them, but they usually take people away from your website. And with these, easy to use plugins that you're using their buttons, and it's often, really colorful and it just kind of distracts people from your site. This pages thing here, you already have a menu up here, so having another thing right here with pages seems kind of irrelevant. Is that really necessary? Now, this keep in touch thing, I really do like, like newsletters and things like that, but there's no details here. I don't know what happens when I put my email address in here. So you need to incentivize people, let them know what they're signing up for. What exactly is that for? And then are people actually, do you get emails from that? And if so, what are you doing with them? Is there a newsletter? Does it go out monthly? You want to kind of let people know what they're getting into. And again, the Wedding Wire. I'm a big fan of reviews, but when it's something that takes your visitors away from your site, and it's branded or designed for a different website, in this case, obviously Wedding Wire, right? It doesn't really fit necessarily with your branding or your design. Again, I think you could, in your about or, somewhere else, you can have a 5-star rating. Just say we have a 5-star rating at Wedding Wire with a link that opens up to a different tab in your about or reviews page. That this doesn't necessarily need to be here. The proofs, proofs are really good, but down here it's a really odd spot for proofs for a client. I'd expect them to be up in the menu or the header, like up in here or even over in here somewhere. That might take a little customization, but or even if it's just a link in the menu, you can do that as well. It's not that hard to do in WordPress. And you only have two clients in here. I'd have. I wouldn't use the drop down because it looks like you're not really that busy with just two clients. Excuse me. I'd have them maybe type in their name in a search form, or I'm not really sure if that's available with your proofing system, but I wouldn't have, especially if there's just a couple clients, I wouldn't have it just a little drop down. And then your blog roll on photography sites. The practice of blog rolls and linking to other people on the sidebar is pretty dead. you don't want to appear as if you're participating in link exchange programs or little kind of link exchange things like that. Especially for Google, the Penguin algorithm really cracked down on things like this, and you just don't want to appear that you're doing that sort of thing. So I would get rid of the linking. Plus, again, you don't want to really be, as a small business, you don't want to be taking people away from your website. And then, the videos just seem a little out of place here. They seem like they're really great videos, and they'd be maybe fantastic in a blog post or on a page that featured them a little bit more than just being kind of stuck down at the end of a sidebar on your blog page. So you can see the sidebar creates a bit of a distraction for people. I wouldn't have it on your site in general, or at least a sidebar with all this stuff. I noticed there's sidebars on other pages as well. And again, I would just look at the purpose of that, and does it add anything to it? They do work on sites that have a lot of viewership and where people stick around a long time, or you want people to click around a lot. Like a popular blogs like Engadget and things like that. That sort of thing can be fine, but like I said, a small business website, probably not. You just have a couple minutes to convince a potential bride or mom, etc., that they should contact you. So you have to make each second count. If we look at the navigation and the rest of the page contents here, I'm a huge advocate of what I call landing pages, and I'll just show you an example of what I mean by that. This is back to Teresa's site. This is how we designed her site. Was we created a slideshow for weddings. I just clicked on weddings and engagements. So with a landing page, you have a page for each service that you provide. So in this case, weddings, obviously. And, this one, we did use a little bit of a sidebar here, but really to, nicely wrap up the information that we're trying to get across. And so we have all the information for weddings right here on one page. So you can see, she talks a little bit about her weddings, and then, this is straight off the press, so where she's been published. She talks about her rates, the areas served. So this page right here serves as the page that she wants people to go to when they're interested in weddings, and it also serves as the page that Google's going to rank. So in your case, here you have your photography sessions and pricing. As a bride, I may not be interested in knowing anything about corporate events or corporate events, or like a event planner might not want to know anything about weddings, but he or she still has to scroll down past all that to get to event sessions. Corporate walk, and the stuff that you do here. So what I have people do is make separate pages, like you just saw, called weddings, portraits, events, and those can go in the menu here. And then you put all that information on those pages, slideshow, or even a link to where your portfolio page is. You can link out to the individual portfolio pages here. And like I said, it helps out SEO-wise as well, because here you've got 3 keywords that you're really trying to rank for: portraits, weddings, and events, and in the area that you're trying to get ranked for, right? Fort Smith or Arkansas. Here we've only got one keyword that we're focusing on. So the keyword density, or the keyword the makeup of the page itself is really focusing on one keyword, and that in this case it's Sacramento wedding photographer. So weddings is used often in here. So that's what I would recommend here is breaking this information up. It's all really good information, but breaking that up into, in this case, 3 different pages. But I also know if I look through your portfolio, you have it looks like you do more than just that. You do seniors and families and couples. So each of those can be a unique page in this menu, and they'd get ranked, and then you'd have seniors can just click on seniors because they don't want to find out about corporate events. Now, testimonials, I love testimonials. I rave about testimonials. Testimonials are awesome. And oh look, you already got that link here, right? That actually opens up into a new tab. So that's really great. But if you look at where it opens up, it doesn't open up to your profile on Wedding Wire. I would redo this link so it opens straight up to your profile, and so people don't get lost while they're looking for you and forget about your site. Now the testimonials that you have here are great. One thing I would probably do is these photos are just kind of like not aligned; they're just kind of centered. What I would do is align this left and insert it right here in front of your text, so that this text wraps around. I'll show you an example here. So you can see this photo here. This is just my site. This photo is aligned left and the text is wrapping around. How I do that is you can, in WordPress, you can specify the alignment. So you can align left or right or no alignment, right? The trick to it is putting the photo right in front of your text and then aligning it left. So if I put it down here in front of the word architecture, then vertically it starts right there. But you want the photo to so that's just how you align it, and then vertically align it. So that I just move it so that it's in front of the first text there, and then just align it left or right. You can center it, of course, but by aligning it left or right, you can actually do that back and forth with yours. So you can have one left here, and maybe this one goes right, and then this one goes left. So it really breaks up that page. I would do something like that. So visually, you don't have a whole lot to scroll through, and it just kind of breaks up the page a little bit more. I'm a big fan of that because then you get a little variety in how people move their eyes, and it keeps them engaged rather than kind of get seeing the same thing over and over. So I do something like that, and then consider throwing a text link to each of these clients' blog posts. So if you have a blog post, you might say something like read this person's blog post. And if you have good call to actions at the bottom of your blog posts, it can help move people back to contact you. Let's just take a quick look at that actually. So your blog page is actually the home page. So if we click on just say this particular one here, we can if we scroll down, you can have, at the bottom down here, you can have something like, just a little text, even a little text that says, if you're interested in what you saw, or if you're getting married soon, or something to that effect, come, hit us up on our contact page, contact us, book us, that sort of thing, and then with a link directly to it. That's going to, help you a lot. I just noticed this also is, if you have the chance, go ahead and remove your tags. Tags are not to be thought of as keywords. It looks like you're using a lot of the same keywords over and over again. I wouldn't do that. It's kind of going out of favor as far as Google is concerned. A while back it was something that actually, got you ranked, but Google constantly refines their algorithms, and this is something that doesn't really serve your clients as much, and that's what Google is really interested in nowadays. So, and it comes off as kind of keyword spamming, keyword stuffing. It's not it's not as good nowadays. So it's something that you'll want to go ahead and retire. Um, and then the contact page is great. I went ahead and submitted a test already. What I like about this is that it lets you know that it's submitted and all that. What I'd like to see is if there's a way to have it go to a thank you page after you're done submitting, that'd be really great, because then you can set up something like on that a thank you page, a couple options for your clients to stay engaged somehow with you. Like you can say read more blog posts, and with a link to your blog post, or go like our Facebook page, right? So you're keeping that thing going, versus like, okay, I submitted my thing. Now I guess I'll just close this window, and then they go away from your site, and that's it, right? If you can get them just an extra little engagement, it'll help you in the long run when they hear back from you. The other thing is, I have to scroll down a bit to get to the contact form. So maybe this text right here, which you have already, in many places, right? We know who you are, the email address and the numbers up here, and so's the that you're serving Northwest Arkansas, and well, it's a little bit different here, but we know where you're serving. I'd maybe get rid of some of this and kind of simplify this text, and so that this contact form gets pushed up a little bit higher, and you don't have to scroll down so much to see it. That's just a design thing, more than anything, so that people don't have to scroll down as much, to see the important information. And then the what to expect. A lot of this is really great information here, this Q&A stuff. I would consider putting that in the different landing page. So like on Teresa's site, she has she could have a little Q&A down here, or what to expect, and that's more keywords for you to have on each of the services. So with her engagements, I think we used to have portraits up here too. Maybe she's not focusing on portraits so much anymore, but this is one of those things where you can have a lot of information, and a good Q&A is really good to have on something like this, because it just increases the amount of keywords that you have for each section. So I would take these and kind of break it up and maybe put it into those pages. There's look at all this information that you have. You use the word portrait a lot. You use the word weddings in here, right? And so all those words can benefit each of those service pages that you have. Okay, so I know that was a lot, but if you start looking at your site as a potential client and what will funnel them into contacting you and all that, you'll get more people through that pipeline and hopefully booking you. Okay, great. So I hope that was really helpful. Okay, take care.